Hello and welcome to the Global Star Party, the nighttime Australian New Zealand edition. This is a weekly show where we gather a group of astronomers from around the world to look at the night sky or even the daytime sky, depending on the telescopes. So welcome to the show, everyone. This is a weekly thing. We do it kind of one night is the Australian nighttime edition, and the other show is the American nighttime edition. So we like to mix it up and see if we can get both hemispheres in, because we're greedy like that. We have quite the gathering today, and quite the scope collection, but we'll go into that in a second. Joining us from a different location tonight is Dylan from the Blue Mountain Observatory. Well, he's not from there, but he's hosting from there.
Hello everyone, I'm here at the Blue Mountains Observatory, which is a lovely little facility here, run by Dr. Hassan Williams. And Hassan is actually, he's behind me here, and he's in the room with me as well, so we're going a little bit Inception on you.
Now then, and I shall click on the good doctor, and there's the other view of the same room. Hello.
Good evening, good morning everybody. Hi Chris.
Hello. Thank you for joining us with the tiny, tiny collection of scopes that you have behind you there.
Yeah, just with a small amount. It's wonderful to host Dylan here at the Blue Mountains Observatory. I try and connect every week to listen to the show. Not always have time because I'm busy playing with the telescopes. And of course, this has been on the organisation for quite some time, and guess what? Murphy's Law, it's fully clouded. So we're up here with all the telescopes, and hopefully it might clear, we don't know.
Well, even if it's cloudy, we can still look at that wonderful collection of scopes. We can have a little chat about what you guys do at the observatory and, yeah, have a little bit of a tour. Also joining us from his own clouded-out Cornish observatory is Grant.
Good afternoon, people. Yeah, unfortunately, I've got clouds here, Chris, and there's no sign of them clearing. But we live in hope.
We do live in hope, and we are, however, also joined by a clouded-out Paul Stewart, who is just a beautiful picture of the purple sun at the moment. Good evening.
Good evening, all.
Hello. So, no goat sacrifices this weekend, then, to get rid of the clouds.
Didn't have enough goats left.
Ah, darn it. Your country is 90% sheep and goats. Come on! Well then, on that slightly mean comment, we are also joined this evening by John.
Hello.
Hello.
I will try and get eventually to a point where I can do some live astronomy, but we keep picking the wrong hours and the wrong days. But I'm in Sydney, so I'm not far from the Blue Mountains Observatory.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, fingers crossed for some clear skies. And I'm sure you'll bring some lively debate discussion to whatever we've got for the audience tonight or today. Oh, it's so confusing, this whole time zone thing. And we also have Trevor, who has possibly some intermittent live views as well, although he's also got intermittent internet as well. Ah, technology.
Good evening.
Good evening, eh? Afternoon. Good morning, good evening, good day. How you doing?
I'm good, I'm good. Cold, but good.
Where are you coming from?
Exactly, where am I coming from? Australia, mate. Melbourne.
Awesome. Hang on, wait. It's Australia. It's not meant to rain or be cold there. Those adverts are full of lies. Well then, welcome to the show. If you are wondering what the heck you walked into, this is a group of amateur astronomers, and the occasional professional one, because they get paid for it, who share live views of space to the world. You're welcome to join us in Q&A. There should be a button, if you're watching on YouTube or on the event page, for you to join us somewhere down here. If you click on that, you can ask us questions. I would say you can make requests, but so far all we can grant is clouds, I'm afraid.
And if we don't have a live view straight away, we could probably just jump into the Flickr group, which has a bunch of great new images submitted this week.
Awesome. Are
you
going to share some Flickr?
Yeah, let's do it. Why not? Because our Flickr is amazing. Just give me 2 seconds and I'll hop over there. Now, last week we were talking a bit. We had a question in the Q&A about using iPhones for astrophotography or just phones in general. And this image has popped up in our feed of the Carina Nebula. Can you guys see that now?
Oh yes.
Yeah. So this is the big one in the southern hemisphere. This is not this particular region. This is the brightest homunculus, I think they call it, in the middle. But it is in totality, it's about 4 times bigger than the Great Orion Nebula. So this one's sometimes called the Great Carina Nebula, but they probably should use some other kind of adjective instead of great, because it's bloody awesome. It's massive, and this is taken with an iPhone. Can you believe it?
That's not bad. You know what? That's insanely good for an iPhone. Or at least it exceeds my expectations.
I've seen iPhone pics of astrophotography before. This one's killer.
Wow.
What does it say about the details of it?
Let's see. 5-minute integration time. Use the iPhone 6 camera app, and captured TIFFs of half a second at ISO 2000, then stacked the subs in Deep Sky Stacker on a 10-inch Dobsonian. So yeah, pretty stunned, Mark J. Thanks for submitting that.
I'm now looking at my phone right now, going, "How do you do that? That's pretty cool."
Yeah,
nice.
Unbelievable. So yeah, there is something to be said for taking a lot of short subs and stacking them, even with better equipment. If your alignment's not so good or whatever. You can get a pretty good signal-to-noise ratio and a very nice noiseless image. So very good. Now this one's from Andrew, but I'm not sure this is the Andrew that's in the room or was in the room, Andrew Wall, because he posted a similar one on Facebook just before. But this is, I think it might be the same Andrew. Is he in the room? No, I don't think so. No. So this is a part of the Tarantula Nebula, which we've seen on the show before. It's part of the Large Magellanic Cloud, so it is visible from the southern hemisphere mainly, and it is spectacular. And the details on this one, GSO 8-inch f4 Newtonian, again short exposures, 5 seconds, and he stacked 100 of them. And another 75 times 4 second subs. So yeah, short subs, does really well. Here we have another regular to the show who couldn't join us tonight and may well be viewing, Shah again from Malaysia. Now Shah can't share with us because we don't hit the right time for him, unfortunately. So hopefully as daylight savings comes into play and the Earth's orbit shifts a bit, then we'll be able to get Shah on for a live view. But this is his Swan Nebula, which is one we've been looking at over the last few weeks. Really, really nice version. So thanks again, Shah, for submitting this one. And this is one that was also submitted by, I'm going to say William, just because I can't pronounce the French version. And it was submitted to the Global Star Party community as well as the Flickr. And sometimes we think about astrophotography as just being about the stars and the nebula and the flashy stuff. But sometimes it's just a sunset like this. And this is an effect that I've known about but haven't actually taken. It's called I can't even pronounce that, anti-crepuscular rays. So the rays, can you see my mouse there?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So there's the sun going down there, and you see the rays arching over the entire sky, so that the opposite horizon to the sunset, you actually get the converging rays on the other side of the sky, which is a fascinating little effect of the atmosphere and optics, and yeah, definitely worth getting out and trying if you've got a camera of your own. Flicking over to David Maug, or Moog, I'm sorry again if I don't know how to pronounce that. This is a shot from Canada. 132 seconds, ISO 1600. A lovely Milky Way shot, and David's submitted a bunch of other pictures to our Flickr group. So thanks for that, David. They're all really good, but I particularly liked this one.
Nice, really nice.
This one's from Daniel Heron. Now, Daniel has been sharing a bunch of photos with us through the community page as well. And this is an object that we were talking about with Thad last week. Moon Astigrachus Vallis Scrota. It's weird. Settle down, kids. All right. It looks like a bent pair of scissors, but it's just a bizarre kind of lunar object, and this is a really nice close version of it. Another one from Daniel Heron is some of his moon work with Clavius crater in the middle there. Clavius is that recursive crater with craters within craters. Just a wonderful object to look at, and Daniel's lunar work is excellent, so definitely check him out on Google Plus if you can. Moving on to Mike Reget, who's shared with us a heart nebula. This is one that looks spectacular in narrowband. You don't often get to see it in a kind of more natural red hue, but this is one of those objects that we're jealous of you guys up in the northern hemisphere that can see this, because it is just stunning. And Mike Reget also does a bunch of great stuff, so please follow him. And finally, in my list of hot shots for the week is one by John Mills, who's in the room. So I'm going to let you talk about this one, John.
Caught me out there. Okay, so
dance monkey.
Yeah, Carina. Interesting enough, breaks a lot of laws. It was shot with an 8300 CCD chip, but it's a one-shot color. Which obviously you should be aware you'll lose a lot of the Bayer array, so you lose a lot of sensitivity. But Carina is a good shot to do it with.
Because it's so big.
Processed away really for the nodules. If you zoom in down on like the wall side below the nodule, the major nodule, you'll see that there's all the globules are all sat down there in the corner. Yeah, so down on the left hand side, that straight wall that runs down almost at like, I don't know, 180 degrees. So there's some globules and things running down there. So really processed for the detail. I paid absolutely no attention to getting the colour correct to an omelette scene, because normally it's so red. So yeah, an interesting process.
The colour's pretty good though, because a lot of people push it to the reds, but it is a kind of more pinky red, a lot of the emission nebulas.
If this is where, when we were talking, thank you, Thackeray Globules, Grant says, thank you very much. I was sort of like trying to play about with not going for the blatantly red, so I looked up Carina and looked at what colours everybody was doing it in, and decided to do it a little bit different. But,
Oh, I like it. I think it's quite even, and you're processing in PixInsight, yeah?
Yes, yeah. So that was. Interesting enough, there's no darks, no flats, and no biases or anything in there. I haven't got to that level yet.
It's all shot. It reminds me of the kind of natural colours I see when I'm looking at Orion through an eyepiece. It's got a similar kind of hue to it.
Yeah, it's interesting you should say that, Chris, because I did a thing with RGBs and HA of the Orion Nebula. It was one of my first CCD shots, the Boris CCD, and I ended up with that very pinkish like I've got there with Carina. And I don't know whether it's just because I can't process colour correctly because I'm blind, or whether it's just the fact that I just process it that way anyway. But I actually quite like the fact that it's not saturated, because it's quite an easy thing to saturate. I think that's what you're trying to say, Dylan, isn't it? It's quite easy to saturate that.
I think this colour is actually more honest and more natural than a lot of the deeply saturated ones that you do lose a lot of that fine detail. So I quite like it, and that is one of the advantages of using an RGB, is that it comes out a bit green biased, because you've got that extra green pixel in the 4-pixel matrix. But once you take that out, you get this.
Yeah, it took me ages to work out what the Bayer array is, because we're so all used to RGB for Canon and things, and it's not. It's CBGR or something stupid.
Oh, right.
really weird.
I mean, I was going to say, I mean, that just looks like, you know, the same kind of colours I get through an eyepiece when I'm looking at Orion. So I'm going to say that I agree. I think that looks quite natural. It's lovely. It is a lovely shot. And
Thank you, guys. That's really appreciated. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
there's factory doodahs. Are pretty cool. Now, I'm going to say, just as a kind of a note here, Trevor, if you happen to part the clouds and get any live Saturn, just pop it up and I'll click right on you and we'll do some live, because Trevor early before the show went on the air, he actually did have live Saturn, but he's been plagued by, I think, passing clouds. But whilst we, of course, oh no, he's unmuted. So how's the weather now looking, Trevor?
That's good. That's
Sweet, good. Sweet. Well, if you've got Saturn, bring us the planet.
And I think also Dr. Hassan has some pictures that he might be able to share for us, and we can give you a bit of a mini tour of this observatory as well.
I'm looking forward to this. This is a bit of, I'm going to use the word, some gorgeous scopes. I'm going to lighten it up. Gorgeous scopes.
Well corrected, Chris. Well corrected.
How about I swing this around, and the good doctor can talk us through it.
Okie dokie. I think we'll have my audio on and use your video. Dylan, would that be a good idea?
Yeah, that's right. So I'll do the video, you do the audio.
Okay, just the echo in my own voice is a bit... I'll just turn down my headphones. Okay, well, we have the 25-inch CDK plane wave here. Okay, you're on your... Right, sorry, I'm just trying to work out which microphone I'm on. I think we need to switch to your video, Dylan.
I've got Dylan's video queued up and I'm currently using your audio.
Okay, right, there we go. Right, hello. Right. Okay, got it here. So we have the PlaneWave CDK 24-inch telescope here, and what a CDK is, it's a Cassegrain telescope. But it's a corrected optics. The primary mirror is actually a different type of figure, which means we don't need a corrector plate, and also that the images that you get are very, very flat. You don't get that curved images at the sides that you do with normal Cassegrains. It's a beautiful telescope. However, I must say that although we've probably got one of the best mounts in the world on it, a Mathis MI 1000 mount, we do have that SciTech controller that people can buy off the shelf for supporting their own small telescopes, including Dobsonian's mounts. I actually would really recommend that anyone would be getting any type of larger telescope, more than 14-inch, that they wouldn't go for something like the SciTech. I actually find that the BISC controller is much better. Of course, if you don't mind using SkyX. I don't think I've got a lot of cable, but if I can just get Dylan to show us around the south pier. There's two piers here. It's a sliding roof observatory, and we're going to open up the roof for you as well that we're sitting underneath. The grey telescope in front of you is a Celestron C14. It's working at f7, and that's got an ST8, S-big ST8 on the end of that, and we use that for astrometrics, minor planetary work. It's on a Paramount MX mount, exceptional mount. The pier is actually divided into four, so it's actually got four telescopes. Off to the left of your image is a small refractor. It's just a 5-inch wide field refractor with a very cheap CCD, a Kodak 8300M chip-based camera, and that is for wide field planetary minor planet asteroid hunting and comet hunting. Over opposite the C14 is the telescope that really takes the beautiful images here at the Blue Mountains Observatory. It's a 12-inch Meade LX200. It runs at f5. It's got an ST10 camera on it, which is a front illuminated camera, which is also class 0. There's no defects on it. It's beautiful. you may notice a little tiny white video camera on the top of it. The reason we have that is for disabled people that come here that can't make it up the stairs, and they can actually see a wide field view of the sky live, like a binocular view. And now that mount is on one of the new Skywatcher EQ8 or Sinter mounts, the new one with a homing feature, which is really great. Those people who are familiar with the Skywatcher mounts and actually use the EQ mod to interface will need to know that the homing feature is actually not supported yet by the EQ mod. So I actually do not use the EQ mod feature on this telescope. The one under the bag, and if I'd actually thought I would have taken the bag off, is a 10-inch Meade. Dylan's peeping underneath. And that's just used for viewing. It's just a 10-inch LX200. I'm sure you've seen plenty of those before. But as you can see, this massive, it's actually solid steel. There's not tubular, that pier there. And it's 1 metre diameter, both the piers for the telescopes. And my queen-size bed is between them both underneath, and that's where I sleep when I come up here. And the sliding roof here, if I can just put you back to Dylan's audio, and we'll open up the roof for you. Sorry, I should have given you a
You're all right. I hope you're enjoying my professional camera work here.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
I'll give up my day job, Dylan.
Let's put it this way, if you ever do open heart surgery, you're going nowhere near me.
I think there was a bit of a drizzle outside just before as well, so...
You're going to open it, there's water's going to come in.
Open sesame, Dylan.
Open sesame.
Oh.
Nice.
Live clouds.
Wow. Okay, I'm moving right there. Just a second. Sounds like a
Something
train.
needs oil.
Nice stereo eyes there, Dylan. Wow, that's beautiful. If it wasn't for the clouds, that
Don't
would...
hit me.
Okay, Dylan's currently getting attacked by a massive telescope. Nice.
Yeah, this thing is huge.
Well, we made...
So that's the Blue Mountains Observatory, and there's a cottage here. So if you're in Australia and you want to come and have a dirty weekend with a wife, you can come and do telescope stuff afterwards.
Or a dirty weekend with a husband.
Yeah, don't judge here.
Assuming you're both not too busy looking at the wonders of the universe, I actually have a question on Q&A pop-up from Angel. She's asking, is the observatory open to the public, or do you have open days? So if you want to come along, what's the deal?
Yeah, the difference with the Blue Mountains Observatory is that although it's a professional observatory, yes, it's also a tourist attraction. And you can sit here on our 1 gigabit LAN and use the telescopes remotely, or you can come up and look through them. You can do anything you want. We cater from young children who have never seen through a telescope before, right up to professional astronomers. And every single telescope here is available to you. We've got a 4-bedroom cottage that you can stay at. It's a beautiful place to stay. It's a really, really nice and cozy place. And the observatory, and if you don't like the cold weather and Australia's terribly cold winters, then you can huddle around the fire, hook up our laptops to the network, easy as anything, off the smart TV, put your finger on the smart TV and slew the telescope. And for anybody who would like information, it's bluemountainsobservatory.com.au.
That is fantastic. Thank you. And I also just got a comment from Angel there going, "Oh my God, seriously." So yeah, that is pretty awesome. Ah, that's
So,
brilliant.
look, thanks a lot for inviting us tonight, and I'm going to close the roof in a minute because Dylan's freezing, and later on I've got some pictures to share. But back to you, Chris.
Awesome. Well, I am going to skip over me and go straight to Trevor, who isn't clouded out. He's clicking on it. There we go. Oh, can you guys see his view? Every time I click on it, I just get his icon. But I'm hoping you guys can see a live view of Saturn right now, because that was what I was looking at a second ago.
No Saturn yet, Chris.
Ah, darn it. Well, in that case, then, I'm going to skip over. I'm just going to actually look at a question here by, I'm terrible at pronouncing names, Yuka. He says, if you want to get yourself a good mount under that plane wave, you should consider the ASA DDM160. It's really expensive, but can carry 300 kilos. Wow.
I think that's the direct drive version. It can move across the entire sky in about 5 seconds.
Whoa.
It's possibly the scariest mount you'll ever see move. There's a video on YouTube. Yeah, there's a video on YouTube of them having it at a display at a German engineering show, and it's just performing tricks like a Japanese robot. It's just performing tricks.
Yeah, you just imagine that the astronomers ducking every 5 seconds, trying to avoid bumped heads.
Yeah, I was going to say, now Paul, who is clouded out currently and sharing a beautiful, well, he was sharing a beautiful view of the sun then. We often watched him kind of with these massive weights behind his head, and for a telescope that moves that quickly, you want to be about 20 foot away from the thing just in case. It's slightly terrifying. Talking of mounts, you knew this was coming, guys. Talking of mounts, I may have made a small investment. You can see behind me that my LX90 8-inch telescope is no longer on a fork because, well, it sucked. So I've gone and got myself a new mount. So I've got the NEQ6 now, and because I've got myself a new mount, it's cloudy, and it's going to remain cloudy for a long time. But I do have it hooked up to EQ mod, and not quite as fancy as the Blue Mountains Observatory. But I can make it move and look at the ceiling in all sorts of different ways. Although I'm having to kind of look backwards because I've got another telescope sat next to it, and I don't want to bash that either. So, yay! So I can look at the ceiling and track the ceiling really accurately at the moment because of pounds.
Just watch your head there, Chris. It's going to do you an injury there.
It's all right. I've got about a foot between me and the weights there, but yeah. So actually, if I just shuffle over, yeah, you see I'm fine. The weights are there, and if I look over my other shoulder, you can see the remnants of the old mount, the old wedge sat behind me. So yeah, turns out if you are interested in getting your LX90 8-inch, 10-inch, or 12-inch off its mount, it's not actually that difficult. In my case, it may be different per telescope, but I had to undo 6 hex bolts once I found a 9 and 64-inch. I don't even know. Imperial measurements make no sense, but basically I had to get this weird Allen key and stick it in 6 screws and then slide the tube out, and that was pretty much it. It was pretty easy to do. So I now have that beast behind me, which weighs a ton, a literal ton.
Chris, I've got a question here. When you actually took the telescope from the forks, is there any blanking plates that you put on where the actual telescope was mounted to the forks?
Actually, if I figure out which way I'm slewing, or if I just turn the camera, actually, there we go. Right, that's easier. There we go. Over here, you can see, I don't know if you can actually see because there's a bit of light coming in, but there's 3 metal screws. I just basically put the screws back into the holes, so they jut out a little bit, but they fill up those holes quite nicely. But that's where the attachment used to go, and I just stuck the screws back in. I'm probably going to find some shorter screws, so they'll screw in flush, but that's my temporary solution for now. It balances really easily on this mount as well, so that's the other thing. And yeah, in fact, that is actually completely balanced. I'm going to turn it off for a second because I don't know if I can. But if I just unlock the screw here and move it, it just stays where I want it to stay. So it's a piece of cake to balance. So yeah, you can defork an LX90, stick it on a Losmandy dovetail plate, which is this thing here, and it sits in quite nicely, and you will no longer be plagued by LX90 fork mounts, and you can balance it out. And in theory, although I've not actually tested it yet, it'll balance just fine and track just fine. The only problem I've had with this mount so far is that it suffers bendy bolt syndrome. You have altitude adjusters for the polar alignment, and because the way the plate sits in the mount and the bolt goes in, as the bolt pushes against that, it deflects and bends down because it's made out of a fairly soft steel. It's something to look out for. Luckily, the shop I got this from are sending me some replacement bolts, but otherwise, it's been an absolute piece of cake, apart from the bank account. The bank account does not like me now.
Move to the equator, Chris. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Just move to the equator and everything be sorted.
Yeah, I just need. Actually, I need just to go down to Cornwall then, because rather than being at 53 degrees, I'd be at something else, and it'd be a lot easier. But yeah.
Well, you've got an open invitation here, Chris. You know that, but please don't buy anything else because there's clouds here. Okay.
Yeah. John earlier.
Hey, Chris, there's clouds over here as well.
Well, after buying a CCD camera, a filter wheel, 7 filters, and a mount, I probably summoned some kind of storm apocalypse. In fact, I'm just going to click on Trevor now, though, and see if this works. No, every time I click on Trevor, it just, it's driving me crazy. Right, I'm going to click on Paul. Paul, what we're looking at, is this from this week?
This is from earlier today when the clouds actually parted for a little while.
Ooh.
It's nice. So what we're looking at, folks, is a hydrogen alpha view of the sun. This is very nice. So how long did you have to video record this one for? I mean, what kind of recording length do you use?
It's just a quick stack of 150 frames.
That's pretty speedy. I was just going
Yeah,
to say,
now the sun is fairly featureless at the moment. A lot of the active stuff has gone around the limb, so we've been left with a fairly plain-looking sun. But when you've got the kind of equipment that Paul does, and you can look through and see what's actually going on the surface, it's still rather dramatic. It's just that, yeah, there you go. So a lot of this stuff, if you were just looking in white light, you just can't see anything. But when you look at it in HA and see that granular surface and those filaments across it, it's really still pretty beautiful looking, despite being quite featureless otherwise.
I was going to say, Paul, I'm assuming you show your photos to friends, family, etc. Do you get the comment that it looks like an orange, like an orange skin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Paul's tried processing them like biscuits too, and they look pretty good.
Oh dear. Now, Angel did actually comment that she could see Saturn briefly on the view. It seems like every time I click on you, Trevor, it just goes to your pretty picture of Saturn.
Yeah, no, I've got clouds at the moment.
Just literally, just yell as soon as you can bring us Saturn, and I will click on you. Just literally, it doesn't matter if we're talking. Just yell over us, just like, hey, I got Saturn, and then because this show, despite the fact that it's been primarily equipment, I'm going to say it's been equipment porn today. Let's be honest with you. We looked at some beautiful mounts and telescopes. My telescope's tiny compared to everyone else's, but no, it does the job. But we normally do actually bring in quite a selection of live views. In fact, for a few shows, we were bringing in comets, asteroids, and all sorts. So, hopefully next week when we've got the American nighttime show, Paul's got clear skies for the sun, and American astronomer has got nice clear nighttime skies. I am going to click on you, Dylan, because you appear to be showing us some beautiful wide field view.
Okay, so this one I shared earlier this week on my social networks. I took it a few nights ago. Now, the special thing about this is that it's taken with a normal Canon DSLR and a normal 50mm prime lens with no tracking. It's just sitting on a cheap tripod out in the dark. I just wanted to see if I took a bunch of short exposures. So these are 4-second exposures, and there's 96 seconds worth of them. So it didn't take a lot of time, like 2 minutes just to run off a bunch of frames, and I processed the hell out of it in PixInsight, a bit in Nebulosity for the integration, and Photoshop for some final color tweaks. And you can see the dead center of the Milky Way here. So roughly in the center of the image is the center of our galaxy, which I think is pretty neat. Plus, there's a lot of other stuff. Hopefully you can see. Can you see my mouse pointer?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay, so the dead center is about here, center of the Milky Way. And over here we've got M8, the Lagoon Nebula. And over here we've got the War and Peace Nebula. And over here is the Cat's Paw. And I was really, really happy to get that kind of level of detail out of this is just normal consumer equipment. There's actually nothing astronomical about this at all. You can go out with your camera and run this sort of image processing off and get this kind of result. And this is the famous Pipe Nebula down here, which I always call it something else because it looks rather phallic. And some of the New Zealanders would call it the head of the kiwi bird, where we have the body of the kiwi there, and the head of the bird, and his little eye in there, and the snout or the beak there. So yeah, that's the Pipe Nebula.
Okay, I'm going to click on the Good Doctor's image now, and we have yeah, there's also Central Galactic here as well. That's a nice picture. It looks very reminiscent of what we're looking at with you, Dylan. What are we looking at here?
Yeah, actually, whilst Dylan was bringing that object up, talking about that, I thought I'd bring up my little effort. But that's amazing, Dylan. That's just terrific. This particular one is actually it is not digital. It's film. This is quite an old photograph that I took about 10 years ago, and it was with Kodak 400. And all it was my 160mm SLR camera lens sitting on my telescope, and not guided, just piggybacked for 20 minutes exposure, and then of course it was scanned. So it's not a digital image; it's actually a film image. And dead in the middle there is the Lagoon Nebula, and just off to the right is the Trifid. So it sort of left and up a little bit of Dylan's frame, but I thought I'd just bring that up because Dylan had shown one.
That's lovely. That is really nice, and those reds are extremely vivid. Actually, I do have a comment here in the Q&A coming in from. What software do you recommend for controlling the NEP6 and CCD from a MacBook? Now, I don't own a MacBook, so I'm not entirely sure, but there might be a Mac port of EQ mod. I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
No, there isn't, and the problem with that is that the Mac doesn't do any of the ASCOM stuff, so you can't run ASCOM drivers on a Mac. However, I do use a Mac, and I use a Mac for my imaging, and I use EQ mod. But the way to do it is just run Windows in a sandbox, run it as a virtual machine, and then run your Windows stuff that way. But it's actually worth it to get Windows running in a virtual machine and to use EQ mod, just because it opens up so many possibilities.
There is on the Mac App Store. On the Mac App Store, there is some software for controlling CCDs as well. So if you don't need to do EQ mod, there's a couple of things on there that guys have released that support the Attic and other cameras as well.
And Nebulosity does run on a Mac as well, so you can run Nebulosity for your acquisition itself. It will pull CCD images down, but just controlling your mount through EQ mod, you will need to use the Windows stuff.
Well, thank you for that. Hopefully that answered your question there. Now I'm just going to click on Paul here for a second because he is sharing when it. I'm getting some strange kind of lag here today. Let's try that again. There we go. Oh, what are we looking at? This is really nice.
I think it's the Pillars of Creation.
No.
Dylan can tell you all about this one.
This we talked about last week a little bit. This is the molecular cloud, the dark molecular cloud in what is it? The Australis, Corona Australis. dark molecular cloud. And it looks like you've gone away and you've processed this really nicely, Paul. Can you give us a bit of insight into what your acquisition was?
I can't remember how much it was. There's at least 3 or 4 hours worth in there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's great. You can see those stars in there are actually double stars. Oh, sorry, binary stars, causing those big reflection nebulas. It is a star nursery.
That is lovely, and it's what gets me about this image. Obviously, you've got that beautiful nebula in the middle there, and you've got that globular cluster right in the corner there. So that's a nice region of space, isn't it? You know what? I actually almost regret buying so much equipment because I really have sun and clouds, and I'd like to start looking at some stuff in space. So please, cloud deities, go and be nice for a while. Although I have just suddenly had a bit of sunlight break out, so I at least have a view through the solar scope and look at the sun visually anyhow. That is lovely. Now, also, John, we've mentioned some software today and what have you. So I'm going to look at your pillars of creation, because it is definitely you with the pillars of creation. What software what software we're looking at here? And tell us a bit about the image.
It's PixInsight, but I'm trying. PixInsight is it's not new, but it's gained over the last sort of maybe 18 months, 2 years. It's gaining a relative foothold of people. What it tries to achieve, PixInsight, it's a processing software. It's not a capturing software. It's not a planetarium. It's not anything like that. It's purely processing. So it sits completely within the what we would normally believe to be Photoshop sort of area, or maybe for people who've been using Nebulosity, like myself, who did in the past. It sits in that. It's about, now let me get this right, Dylan will probably confirm this, I think it's about €180, something like that.
Yeah, worked out to about 350 Australian.
Yeah, so it's about that. So I don't know, what's that in English money, Chris? €180, what's that work out at?
Probably about 100. It would be around 170, 180 pounds. They just normally just swap the sign in front of it. So.
So, but what it tries to do, apart from obviously what's happened with Photoshop, there's a lot of, shall we say, copies of Photoshop flying around on the internet. What it's tried to do is get a purely astro imaging scenario of processes and scripts. Now, one thing that you can do in Nebulosity is you can script things, and you can then get I don't know, is it with Photoshop you get processes, I think, that you can put in. Yeah, and the difference here is there's the community, the two guys who write the program in Spain, I believe, and then they've enabled it so that you can write processes and scripts for things. So I love Nebulosity. I think it's really cool, but unfortunately, my personal taste, and yet again, as we had a discussion about color, I don't like the way that Nebulosity processes images out. It doesn't reflect for me, whereas PixInsight does. But you know, it's just a very good program. One of the program processes that a lot of people talk about with PixInsight is deconvolution. Now, deconvolution is an interesting way. It's a way of sharpening your image. So we can't really see on here, but on the left image compared to the right image on the screen, the left image has had deconvolution, and the image on the right hasn't. And that's the head of the pillars of creation. The head there is actually, it's got more detail.
You can see it a bit, but is it possible to zoom in at all?
Yeah. So you can just see it. It's so you know, I mean, the thing with deconvolution is it's so easy to over egg the pudding, if you like. You can go beyond it and get ringing. So for those guys who've done planetary imaging, you just get onion ringing in seconds.
Yeah.
The problem is you need a fast processor for PixInsight. It doesn't forgive you for having an i3 processor. It kills you for it.
No, and it takes ages too. Like you go and do an image run, and then it's like, oh, I think I'll go open a beer because this is going to take a long time. But the results themselves, they really are fantastic.
was going to say on the discussion of on sharpening. I mean, I'll address everyone here because obviously everyone here has processed image to an extent from planetary to deep sky. I tend to find that the amount of sharpening you need really it increases with the amount of magnification that you can like. I tend to find like if I'm using a 2 times Barlow on a planetary, say something like Jupiter, I can find two pixels worth of sharpening with smart sharpening in Photoshop to do the trick. I mean, and then obviously if you go like 3 times Barlow, 2.5 pixels worth of sharpening because I'm starting to lose a little bit of actual image resolution anyhow. I mean, do you find that? I mean, as a rule of thumb,
on cam, don't do that.
You don't need much sharpening. Only a very small amount of sharpening is required.
Good shot.
So yeah, but basically what I'm saying is you only need it's small tweaks that you need. You really don't need to push hard with imaging. You get better results with small refinements.
Yeah, and especially with sharpening, as you're saying, if you do sharpen too far, all the work that you did trying to get the noise out suddenly is undone. All the noise comes back.
Yeah, so you end up sharpening the noise and bringing that into the forefront. I mean, you can really see the change in sharpness there. It's subtle, but it's those subtle tweaks that really can bring the improvement to the image. I tend to find as well with like saturation changes, you want to bring those colors out, but if you push too hard, then you're going to lose detail because you start saturating everything into one color. So I mean, as PixInsight goes, I'm assuming it's got quite refined, subtle tools. I mean, you've obviously got sharpening there. What else can you tweak within this software?
Oh God, everything, Chris. Everything.
It's unbelievable.
Everything and more.
Yeah, show
everything
the
more.
Oh,
yeah.
that's quite intense.
Everything and more. I'm not even gonna pretend that I'm a PixInsight expert because I am anywhere near that. It's a lot of time and effort. I think Dylan will confirm this. I mean, you suddenly it's like somebody's opened your eyes, and you suddenly realise that you now are going to spend the rest of your life watching YouTube tutorials.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, and even the basic tutorials step you through about 6 or 7 different tools just to go from straight registration and integration to stretching and dynamic background extraction to remove the vignetting and the noise reduction and the histogram transformation to equalize the colors, and that's just their basic starter tutorial. And I went through one of those, and I just did one of my images, and it just ended up looking so much better than anything I'd done before. So I'm a recent convert, thanks to the Astro Imaging channel too. Those guys really have a lot of good resources about this.
I was going to say, I'm looking at. I'm just going to click on Paul's photo for a second. If my computer decides that it wants to play ball, right? I mean, looking at this image here with the beautiful dark nebulosity and the globular cluster. I mean, Paul. I mean, what kind of software and what kind of techniques did you go through to kind of bring out the details in this photo?
It should have been down on PixInsight, but I cheated and went to Photoshop.
Oh, the controversy. So, I mean, obviously, without going into all the specifics and details, because obviously there's a lot to processing these images. Obviously, when we're bringing the live views, you've got scene conditions, and it's just a straight raw image. But obviously, there's a lot to bring out those extra details, colors, and so on, when you actually get to the data and you start processing it. I mean, with this kind of image, I mean, what did you start off looking at first? Do you start stretching it, the levels out, or I mean, roughly what kind of sequence of things do you do with this in Photoshop?
Before I get to Photoshop, there's quite a few frames in here, and they've all been stacked and dark frames subtracted and all that sort of stuff. Then you're taking the Photoshop and you start stretching it and getting the color balance right and just twiddling it till it looks right.
I was going to say, actually, from my own experience, I mean, I'm no expert in processing deep sky images now, and I've only just started getting into narrowband imaging and multiple filters and channels and what have you. But in my own personal experience, yeah, there's a rough routine you kind of stick to, but a lot of it I find personally is it's a case of fiddling with the image until it looks right, or you get something that looks good. And I quite often, I'm fiddling with an image, get something I like, I save that as a spare copy, and then I go back and start again and try different order of things and different processes, which is not necessarily the most professional way of doing it, but at the end of the day, it's not science. It's a kind of it's artistic interpretation. And clicking back on Paul's image here, I mean, that is a beautiful picture with some lovely details in there. And then clicking at John's image here, obviously we've got pixel sight, and we've got, you can tell the difference from left to right, and at least in my eyes, anyhow, that's some lovely colour in there, much sharper, much more detail. And then I'm going to click on the good doctor's photo, because I'm terrible at pronouncing Hassan. So I'm just
Hassan.
N. Right then. I've clicked on you, but I'm getting strange lag. I don't know if you guys can see currently his view, or if we've got.
Do you want me to unshare and share? Because I find that sort of fixes the problem.
Okay, yeah, try that. Try unshare and share. I didn't notice that Google have changed their. Oh, there we go. I say Google have changed their logo. They also seem to have tweaked Hangouts again, and it seems to be even more unstable. So Google, if you're listening, which you probably are, can you fix it, please? Now, whoa. Okay, that looks like a Hubble. That looks like a Hubble image, but I'm assuming it's not.
No, it's mine. Okay, this was taken with my Pentax astrograph, which is a focal length of 400 millimeters and a whopping aperture of 100. So it's an f4 astrograph. It's sitting downstairs, but unfortunately I'm on a walking stick, so I didn't want to carry it up the stairs with one hand. But Dylan and I were going to play with this. It's the Eta Carina Nebula, and I have just a couple of images to show you. This one is in front of the Southern Cross, of course, a very famous object of the South. But this is the very wide field shot that shows you everything. This particular object is made up of three really different nebulas. The larger area, the Eta Carina Nebula itself, and then a smaller nebula right inside, and then the keyhole. Now, if we actually do switch to the Hubble space image here, I'm not the best of drivers with this software, so bear with me. I'm getting to it. Okay, we'll switch to that. And okay. As I said, you have to bear with me. So we'll switch to the Hubble now. Can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So there's the Hubble space image picture of it, of the star itself. Now, if you look through, certainly the 24-inch here, you can see a lot of this, where you zoom right on the star Eta Carina itself, and you can see that it's actually not a star. It's sort of elongated into a little tiny dumbbell. Now, about 500 years ago, this hyper red giant, blew off its outer shell of gas, and that's what you're seeing with that Hubble Space Telescope image there. Now, the core of the star there is still rotating, and we believe in 50 to 500 years it's going to go supernova, and when it does, it's going to be like a second sun from planet Earth in the south. It's going to be that bright. Now, I'm not talking about a bright star at night. I'm talking about a very bright object that could be seen through the day. It's one of the largest stars we know of in our galaxy, and it's fairly close to us. So we do know that it's erupted out its outer shell, and hopefully in our lifetimes, probably not in mine, but in maybe the younger viewers, it will go supernova, and it'll be the second naked eye supernova we've seen. Of course, the last one was in 1987A, which is when I first started working as a professional observatory. My first night, a supernova went off in the Large Cloud of Magellan, but this particular object, Eta Carina, is in fact millions of times larger than that. The star itself is about the size of the orbit of Mars, so that gives you a bit of an idea. But the previous image to that was a Hubble palette, and that was taken here at the Blue Mountains Observatory.
That is fantastic information. And also, I hope that blows up really soon. I want to see that. Oh, wow. That is incredible.
Yeah, and just for reference, that was the same object that we were looking at that was taken with an iPhone in the Flickr group as well. So, yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
I was going to say, I do need to get myself to Australia at some point and start looking at some of these things. And that is, the fact that you can take it from anything from an iPhone to, the Hubble Space Telescope, and you can get these pictures of it is, I mean, that's quite a scale up. I mean, an iPhone is an expensive thing, but it's a lot cheaper than the Hubble Space Telescope. All that beautiful telescope that is sat behind you, Dylan.
It should be noted for anyone who's not sure about the colours that you're seeing on Dr. Hassan's image, is that this is the Hubble palette. So this is narrowband, which means they've taken 3 or 4 shots in hydrogen alpha, oxygen 3, and sulfur 2, and map them to the red, green, and blue channels that we have in Photoshop or that we use, on computer monitors, in a different way, where the red that is normally the hydrogen is mapped to the green, and that's why it becomes a green dominant picture. It's definitely not what we would see in white light or with our own eyes or with a camera that's RGB, but it allows us to pick through that detail, so we can see, we can change those levels and change those channels, so we can definitely see scientifically valid information and detail that we wouldn't normally see with an RGB image.
I've got a question here, which I'm going to field because I like fielding these. Which will go supernova first, Eta Carina or Betelgeuse, or Betelgeuse as it's sometimes called, and which will be more spectacular to the naked eye? Well, from the description of Eta Carina, I'm going to say Eta Carina will be the more spectacular one. In terms of which horse will come in first, no one knows really. Betelgeuse is one of those which has said that it may or may not go off within our lifetime. There isn't really any way of telling. I mean, there's obviously you can see these clouds of gas being shed off them, and there's information in that you can roughly establish. But yeah, you could. It may be a good one to put a bet on because odds are we've got no idea really, unless.
Well, if I could jump in there, Chris, I would say that the money is on Betelgeuse, because Betelgeuse is showing in spectroscopy heavier elements in the cloud than Eta Carina. So the odds-on favourite would have to be Betelgeuse from a spectroscopy point of view.
Oh, that's interesting. I was not aware of that. So there we go. You see the benefits of having, you're along for the show. And it's actually, I already have to say thank you for joining us and showing us the spectacular observatory you have there at Blue Mountains. It's fantastic. So I'm hoping now that Betelgeuse or Betelgeuse blows up this winter, whilst I've got all this new gear and stuff, and I can, try it out, or at least get some photos of it. I was going to say, I mean, it's one of those things that I've always wondered about. With Betelgeuse, obviously Betelgeuse is it 400 or about 700 light years away? I know it's, was it more? I don't know actually. I'm not sure. I have to Google that one. Given its distance and what have you.
620.
620. I was in the ballpark, give or take a few light years. We want a light year. Apart from an incredible distance that breaks the mind. I mean, it's one of those things that to photograph a supernova, obviously it becomes a bright ball of light, but it always makes me wonder if you imaged in narrowband a supernova, would you actually see some of those outer hydrogen shells being pushed away from it, or would it just be, a bright star that you expect kind of thing? It's something that, you know, if Betelgeuse goes up this year, I'll be trying it out. I'll be trying all sorts of exposures on it, and you know, fingers crossed.
I guarantee it'll be cloudy in the UK if you do that.
yeah, pretty much. It's one of those things that anything. I mean, there's that transit next year of Mercury in front of the Sun, so chances are that'll be nice and cloudy. So yeah, any major astronomical event that's rare, including, you know, Mars becoming the same size as the Moon, or 37 copies of the Moon appearing in the sky, guaranteed it'll be cloudy. But P.S. everyone that's watching, that Mars will never be the same size as the Moon in the night sky unless something really dramatic happens. Now, bearing on that bombshell, I'm just going to click on. I've clicked on Dylan here to just stare at that beautiful telescope. It's so shiny. I want one. I want one now. Do you think the bank manager would agree if we all decided to go out and buy one of those?
No.
Oh, look at that. See?
Yeah. Hopefully one day we have enough money to all pitch in and build the Global Star Party Observatory somewhere.
That'll be nice. That's a plan. I like that as planned. Oh, look, it even turns that way. Yeah, you see, I'm really happy with the mount I have behind me, but compared to that thing, yeah.
Right,
Hey,
Chris.
That doesn't work with EQ mod.
I don't think they open source plane wave stuff somehow.
Right,
Actually,
Chris.
they do.
Hello.
Chris, you're under orders here now. Do not buy anything before the 28th of this month so we can get a clear sky for the lunar eclipse. Okay?
Yes. After everyone watching, if you do have a clear sky, there is going to be a lunar eclipse. It should be visible from most of the northern hemisphere, I believe.
Well, that's
Well,
useful,
it's actually a triple event because it's the full moon, being closest to the equinox makes it a harvest moon, and also it's the largest full moon of the year and totally eclipsed by the Earth's shadow, no less. So don't buy anything, Chris.
I'll try not to. Well, actually, I don't think my bank will allow me to now, so it's fine. So yes, I hate the expression, but yeah, folks, it's going to be a red supermoon. It's going to be the size of Jupiter. It's not really. It's
just giving that the kiss of death.
Basically, on the scale of things, you know, if the normal moon's that big, the supermoon is that big. So, you know, that's the difference, folks. It's not going to be the size of Jupiter. It's not going to summon the apocalypse, despite what some newspapers are saying. So if you read the Daily Express, the Sun, or the Mirror, yeah, it's not the end of the world.
Well, Chris, only in astronomy size matters.
Yeah, it's not like Dylan showing off with what's going on right now.
Yeah, that depends on the size of your thumb and your index finger.
Right then, it has been, believe it or not, an hour's worth of beautiful pictures and telescope pornography. So first of all, thank you to everyone that joined us in Q&A and asked us questions and made comments there. You know, it's always appreciated, a bit of audience participation, so thank you for joining us there, and you know, hopefully we fielded those questions well enough for you guys. Thank you to everyone watching the show as well. Hopefully, I don't want to jinx it, I'm going to try not to buy any more equipment, but hopefully we have some clear skies next week so we can have some views of the sun and some northern hemisphere deep sky stuff. You never know. It might actually be clear here, and I get to use this and share some live nighttime views, which will be a first in the 14, 15 shows that we've done now. I briefly managed to show the sun live through my little golden scope here. So, you know, cross fingers, folks, and maybe we'll get some live views for the bigger one here. Thank you so much, Doctor. I'm just going to say doctor because I'm terrible at pronouncing it.
Hassan's fine. Hassan.
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 Okay,
You got it.
No. Woohoo!
Now
Thank
teach
you.
Dylan to say it. I've only known him for 12 years.
Yeah, I'm just calling you Doc from now on.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
From now on, you will be known as Bob.
Well, I can name you like my son, I'll call you Bruce. Now, thank you for the Blue Mountains Observatory for joining us and taking part in this. It'd be fantastic if we can get some live views and no clouds from you guys. But if people want to come along or find you on the internet, where do we go? What do we do?
Just simply go to www.bluemountainsobservatory.com.au. Just Blue Mountains Observatory, one word, and you'll find it. And Chris, if I can seriously offer you a invitation to come here and see us, we would like to give you a week here, including the cottage, at no charge.
That would be absolutely awesome. I am going to upset my bank manager and get some plane tickets as soon as I can. That'd be fantastic. And thank you for the invite. And thank you for Dylan, who has travelled to said observatory with that beautiful telescope. The other angle on it when I click on Dylan here, when it works. Oh, good Lord, the technology today does not like me. There we go. Right, so I went to me, I went to John, I went to Dylan, and there we go. Got you. Right then.
Yeah, thanks again, guys. It's always fun to do the global star parties, and it just becomes more and more enjoyable every time we do it. We have had a run of a few bad weeks with the live stuff, but we managed to scrape in just a little bit of live each time. But as the seasons change and the summer targets change, winter targets change into summer targets, I'm sure we'll have some good stuff for you shortly.
Oh yeah, I mean we've definitely got some beautiful stuff. I don't know what the winter skies are like, but I know from the Northern Hemisphere perspective, I should be able to bring, in theory, the Orion Nebula, M1, the beautiful Crab Nebula, things like that, and Andromeda. There's going to be some beautiful stuff. So please do stick with us. We should be able to bring you some live skies, depending on the weather. If you are an American viewer and you have a telescope, you have some kind of camera that you plug into the back of it and you can join us, that would be fantastic. We are always looking for people to join us and share their views. I mean, this is what we do it for. We share the views, whether it be photographs or live. We obviously try to get as much live in as we can. And you also get to see some awesome equipment, and you can ask us how we take these photos, how we get these images. And, it's what we love to do. And I would like to say thank you once again to Paul for joining us from his somewhat rain-sodden observatory in New Zealand.
Yep, it's pouring down.
Oh, no. Well, that will teach you for not sacrificing enough sheep. Well, hopefully next weekend you can bring us some live sun, and hopefully there's some gigantic eruption going on and we can all go, ooh, at that. So that would be fantastic. Thank you to John for joining us, and well, despite not being able to bring in the live, you always bring in the commentary and the software and the technologies, and those lovely pictures you were showing us as well that you've sharpened up. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Now, of course, Trevor did before the show have just briefly decent enough weather to bring us live Saturn, and then clouds.
Yeah. It just went to crap, mate. Sorry about that.
Hey, no worries, dude. You tried. You've given a valiant effort, and I personally got to see Saturn, so that's fine. That's cool. I love looking at Saturn, so that works for me. Well, we shall keep trying, and thank you for joining us. And we also were joined by the clouded out Cornish Grant and fellow Minion. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure as always, Chris. The Minion's Kim, by the way.
I know, but it's stuck. So we've got Dr.
Yes,
Bob Minion.
You're not the one that gets punched every time you call her Minion.
It's fine. We like to cause some suffering, so enjoy the punches. So thank you everyone for watching today, whatever time it was for you in your country. We try to bring in the live, so you can sit down with a cup of coffee or a bottle of wine or something like that and enjoy live views of space and beautiful pictures. We're always happy to answer questions in the Q&A, so please feel free to join us with that whenever. You can find us on the Twitters. You can find us on, my brain's just got blank, at Global Star Party on Twitter. We also have the wonderful Flickr group. If you search for Global Star Party on Flickr, you can submit images there which we'll share on the show. And there's some beautiful photos to look at. I just noticed today there's like over 600 photos on there now submitted from.
And I'd also just like to say thank you to you, Chris, for hosting us from week to week, and have fun with your new mount.
I am going to have so much fun with that mount. I am going to be in heaven with that mount. But I need clear skies. Now, I have work tonight, so that's standard, but it's going to be clear, actually, from like 1 o'clock in the morning onwards. So I've got Sunday off, so I'm going to stay up until sunrise and learn how to lug that thing out, because it weighs a heck of a lot more than my old mount, and try to balance, level, align, and all that lot in the dark. Hopefully not break anything, and hopefully maybe get one picture. I'm just try one picture, just one, please, clouds, please. I'm also going to try and be greedy and go for like a really long exposure to test it out. So
I'm using EQ Oscom here, Chris. Know a lot about it. So if you need any help, live help, please feel free to ask.
That would be awesome. Cheers. I will be pestering people probably quite a bit over the next few weeks anyhow to try and get all the wrinkles worked out, and hopefully my replacement bolts come soon. So that pretty much wraps up the show for today. We will be doing the American, Northern Hemisphere nighttime edition, well, that side of the planet anyhow. So even if you're in like, South America, and you've got a telescope and you can bring a southern nighttime skies that way around, then that works too. If you're anywhere on that continent or in the UK and it's dark and not too early in the morning for you, please feel free to join us. We will be linking up to that show coming in the next few days. I'm going to try and be a bit quicker with getting the event set up so we can spread the word. I have been a bit bad with that. So thank you for everyone in the Peanut Gallery for joining us. Despite rain, clouds, and gigantic scopes, it is greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching, everyone, and we hope to see you next week for some live views, discussion, and of course the usual weirdness that comes from us bunch. So thank you and goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.